Hello and welcome to this Oak Tree English video on how to answer questions about formality and bias. This video will try to help students understand what is being tested in CR17 of the functional skills paper. And you don't know what CR17 is because, let's face it, why would you? CR17 is phrased in the exam jargon: analyze texts of different levels of complexity, recognizing their use of vocabulary and identifying levels of formality and bias. The key words are formality and bias. What that translates to, roughly, is being able to recognize formal and informal language and what a writer means by certain phrases. It's tested in questions 3 and 11 on the functional skills paper Level 2. We will look at each of these questions in turn. Let's go. So question 3 is worth 2 marks. You'll be given 5 quotes from the text and asked to choose 2 which use either formal or informal language. There are a couple of telltale signs to look for. Here we go. This is the important bit. Concentrate on this. Informal language uses contractions like I'm, you're, should've, not and never, should of. That is completely anathemous. Don't ever use it, please. Informal language also uses slang or colloquialisms, such as go to the loo, not to the toilet, to the loo. I'm knackered, not I'm very tired, I'm knackered. That'll be 6 quid, not an ill octopus. No, hang on, that's a different thing. £6. So it's slang language. It's colloquial, and also idioms. So that is set phrases that we just say, such as cost an arm and a leg, barking up the wrong tree, best thing since sliced bread. These are idioms. This is informal language. This is something that you wouldn't normally say to in a level of formality. Formal language doesn't include these things, and auxiliary verbs are written out in full. I am, you are, should have, still, never, should of, could of, would of. This is completely wrong. Don't ever use it, please. Now, most language is neutral, so if it doesn't have the telltale signs of informality, you can assume that it is neutral or formal. Formal language will state clearly what it's trying to say without any slang or pub language. And that's quite a useful way to think of it. If you want to put it in those terms, you could ask yourself whether you would hear that language down the pub, like these happy chappies here, or down the police station afterwards, like these less happy chappies here. Let's practice. Here are 5 statements. Let's go through each one and see whether it is formal or informal. You could have warned me. Is that formal or informal? It is informal because it's could have. Notice that of, not of. Notice that. Remember that. Please don't do it. You could have warned me. You could have warned me. It's a contraction. If I'd known then what I know now, ... That is also informal because it's got I'd, I had. If I had known then what I know now, I had, which is a contraction again. My client would have spoken up earlier. That's formal. Notice why. My client would have, not would have. It's also something that you might hear down the police station because your lawyer might say that for you when you have been arrested. Not saying that any of you would be arrested for any particular reason, but you know, I know my viewership. Then the next one, report to the appropriate bodies. I don't think I'm going to be telling anyone anything they don't know by saying this one is obviously formal language, because it is, again, something you would hear down the police station. There's no contraction, there's no slang, and there's no idioms. Report to the appropriate bodies is a formal statement. However, he screamed blue murder. He screamed blue murder is definitely an idiom, which makes this informal language. He screamed blue murder is informal language. So there's the key for you. Would you hear it down the pub or down the police station after the pub? Formal or informal? Question 11 is also a multiple choice question. This time you have to choose one of 4 quotes from the text which conveys a particular bias or attitude, usually positive or negative attitude, about a certain subject. The practice papers, which are in the public domain, phrase it like this. Which one of these quotations from text TC conveys a positive view of people who help victims of fraud? Or shows a negative view of driving examiners? Or shows that a writer has a negative view of technology use? I won't give you the quotes to choose from so that your teacher can still use these in class, but I can hope you can see the style of question that's coming. You're being asked to work out which quotations convey or show a positive or negative view of a particular people or particular subject. People who help victims of fraud, driving examiners, technology use. Let's practice this with a text with which you may be familiar. The Poem by Alfred Noyes. No, not The Highwayman, the other one. This is When Daddy Fell into the Pond. I'll read a verse at a time and then pose a question for you to answer. Everyone grumbled. The sky was grey. We had nothing to do and nothing to say. We were nearing the end of a dismal day, and there seemed to be nothing beyond. Then Daddy fell into the pond. So the question, which of these quotations from the first verse shows a negative view of the future? Is it everyone grumbled? Or we were nearing the end of a dismal day? Or there seemed to be nothing beyond? Or Daddy fell into the pond? Pause the video here and have a think about it and then choose. Press play when you're ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you must be ready. Welcome back. It is, of course, there seemed to be nothing beyond. Why? Why is it there seemed to be nothing beyond? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because of the word beyond. So it's telling us from that piece of vocabulary, that one word is telling us that there seemed to be nothing coming, nothing in the future that is any better than the dismal day they were already having that made them grumble, just until Daddy fell into the pond and then everything was much better for some reason. Let's have a look at the next verse. And everyone's face grew merry and bright, and Timothy danced for sheer delight. Give me the camera, quick, oh quick, he's crawling out of the duckweed. Click. Here's a question for you. Which of these quotations from the second verse shows a positive view of one observer's emotion? Everyone's face grew merry. Timothy danced for sheer delight. Give me the camera. He's crawling out of the duckweed. Pause the video. Have a chat about it if you're watching this in a group. If not, just work out the answer for yourself. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. So obviously the answer is Timothy danced for sheer delight. Notice what's being asked here. Positive view of one observer's emotion. Everyone's face grew merry. That's not one observer. That's Everyone, all of the observers. Give me the camera. No, you might say that if you saw something terrible, something dreadful as well, to take evidence of a car crash or something. That doesn't convey a positive emotion. He's crawling out of the duckweed. While an entertaining image, depending on who your father is, while an entertaining image, it's not necessarily, it's not saying anything about one observer's emotion. However, Timothy is named by name, and he danced for sheer delight is a very clear and, in fact, explicit, almost explicit observation of this one observer's emotion, for positive emotion. Would you like to see in the next verse? Of course you would. Then the gardener suddenly slapped his knee and doubled up shaking silently, and the ducks all quacked as if they were daft, and it sounded as if the old drake laughed. Oh, there wasn't a thing that didn't respond when Daddy fell into the pond. Here's your last question. Which of these quotations from the third verse shows a positive view of ducks? Slapped his knee, the ducks all quacked as if they were daft, or the old drake laughed? Pause, discuss, and start again. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. So the answer, of course, is the old drake laughed. Why? Slapped his knee. Who's doing that action? It's the gardener. And ducks don't really have knees unless you look at the joint in their leg that goes backwards. No, they don't have knees as such. The ducks all quacked. Well, that's what ducks do. It doesn't necessarily have a positive view of ducks. If you happen to be scared of ducks, then that's not a positive thing at all. They're just making terrifying noises. Ah! As if they were daft. Well, again, that's not necessarily a happy sad thing to say about ducks. It's not a positive thing to say about ducks. They're just, it just is. However, the old drake laughed, which, by the way, is personification, because of course the drake doesn't laugh. However, it sounded as if the old drake laughed, makes it a simile, a personifying simile possibly. But this is obviously a positive view of the duck. The duck is experiencing human emotions and expressing them in a human way in laughing. So, to summarize, in order to get the 3 marks for CR17, Formality and Bias, you need to answer the multiple choice questions 3 and 11 correctly. Look out for contractions, slang and idioms. Where you see them, you know it's informal. Where they are not, you know that it is formal. Make sure you read the question, especially question 11, so that you know what you're looking for, a positive or negative view about, and then choose the correct one. I hope this video helps carry you to the success you deserve. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to like, share with your classmates, and subscribe for more awesome content from Oak Tree English.